most of his time blaming the previous administration, which he had tried to warn about the problems with ridiculous amounts of loaning and credit. So Hoover would have been a good president if it had not been the Great Depression, but he was totally inept when it came to handling the Great Depression, and it would have been very hard for any president to perfectly handle the Great Depression. Now, everyone will say, a lot of people will say at least, that Franklin Roosevelt handled the Great Depression just fine, but that's not fully true at all. In 1932, Roosevelt, one of the most outspoken critics of the Hoover administration, becomes the obvious choice as the governor of the biggest state, as the challenger to the Republicans to become the Democratic nominee. And he promises everyone a New Deal when he is nominated as the Democrats. And the New Deal is basically the idea that the government is going to provide certain things that didn't provide before. This comes from his cousin's idea of the Square Deal. Theodore Roosevelt had this idea of the government giving people a square deal. He'll have a New Deal, and then Harry Truman, his successor, will have a fair deal. And the way the New Deal works is it's going to have different phases of application, but it's going to provide much needed relief, government work programs, and other things that will hopefully provide people with jobs, security, and money when they suffer financial woes, especially during the Great Depression. This idea of the government actually helping and getting involved in fixing the problem is extraordinarily popular with the American people, and Franklin Roosevelt is elected in an overwhelming fashion, and he will be elected overwhelmingly in 4 elections, more than any other president. His margins of victory, you can't really see them up there, but the blue bars are FDR, and the red is the Republicans. From Hoover to Alf Landon to Wendell Willkie until Thomas Dewey, Roosevelt's opponents will not crack 100 in the Electoral College every single time. He will win overwhelmingly every single time, 4 consecutive electoral blowouts. A record in history, the 1936 election may be the biggest blowout in American history, other than George Washington's unanimous wins in 1972 and 1984, are some honorable mentions there as well. But basically, Franklin Roosevelt has a mandate, an overwhelming mandate, as the Democrats seize all the power in Congress to implement the New Deal. The people are suffering. Unemployment is 25%. People need something, and Roosevelt gives them something. He gives them a New Deal, and he has different parts of it. There's the relief and recovery efforts. So the first part, there's actually 2 New Deals, and the first one is enacted in a sweeping series of motions during the first 100 days of his presidency. The idea that the president has to get a lot done in his first 100 days comes from FDR. In his first 100 days, he promised to implement the New Deal, and he gets it going with executive orders and with a Congress that is very willing to approve basically anything that he does. The only thing that ever challenges him are federal courts and the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court strikes down some of his measures, he tries to pack the court. But basically, Roosevelt implements certain new work programs like the Conservation Civilian Corps, the Workers Program Administration, the Tennessee Valley Authority, to basically do different infrastructural projects throughout the nation, building new roads, bridges, and canals, highways, things like that, maintenance, repairs, upkeep, recreation, basically as a way in different states and different areas of the country to build new to do new building projects like bridges and dams that will be helpful for people, but will also get people who are not working back into work, and they will be paid for by the government. Spending rises as a result of this, and Roosevelt basically tries to restructure the American workforce so that it is more government run than it ever has been before. Some of these measures are popular, but some of them are inconclusive, and some of them are struck down by the Supreme Court, which sees them as unconstitutional. So there's mixed results with that, but it does get people working again. What Roosevelt is extremely good at doing throughout his presidency is communicating with people and giving them a sense of hope and leadership, basically saying, I'm here to help you in a way that no other American government had done before. And Roosevelt's best way of communicating with the new people is the fact that the media is very much on his side for most of his programs. New corporations that were founded in the radio revolution of the 1920s, like the Columbia Broadcasting Station and the National Broadcasting Corporation, give Roosevelt a platform to speak on the radio to people all the time. Herbert Hoover was not an encouraging speaker, but Roosevelt has a flary, strong, powerful New York accent, and as such, he's able to communicate his message in a pretty captivating and interesting manner. Roosevelt has a lot of catchphrases and slogans that become extraordinarily popular with people, including one that he invokes throughout his presidency, starting with his first inaugural address. By the way, during FDR's term, the inauguration of the president, because it's a lot easier for Congress and the president to travel in the modern age, goes from March 20th and March 4th, respectively, to January 20th and January 3rd. So that's why the president is sworn in on January 20th. So Roosevelt is sworn in for his second term on January 20th, 1937, but for his first term on March 4th,